put your hands together and please welcome our two incredible guests. We've got Samantha Kelly and Kenny James. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, get cozy. At least these aren't the director chairs. You know which ones I'm talking about?
They're so tall and uncomfortable.
Terrifying to sit in.
Swing like this.
Every time I get into one, I'm like, is this the day it collapses underneath of me? We will see. So we always start these the same way. Someone out there is here to charge their phone. They have no idea what's going on. So who are you? What do you do?
Okay. Samantha Kelly. I do the voices of Princess Peach and Toad in Nintendo's Mario games. And I love them. This is Kenny James, and he has the hiccups today.
There's like a guest star on the panel, and it's the hiccups.
The hiccups are my nemesis. I've had hiccups since yesterday. So, off and on. So, if I hic in the middle of a sentence, forgive me, but it's funny now that the pressure's been put on, it seems like they went away.
Yeah, do it. You guys did that. Congratulations and thank you.
You locked in, as they say. You're ready to do the panel.
That would be, yeah, and yeah, I'm Bowser. So,
And he does a lot of anime stuff.
I do a lot of anime, yeah.
I love it. I have 10,000 questions of my own, and then we're going to get to all of the amazing questions that you all pre-submitted. So this is our first time ever talking to each other, so I've got to know the basics. I need to know, how did you come to be a part of this franchise? Paint that picture for me. How did that happen?
Okay, so when I was a little kid, how many of you guys are introverts, would you say? Okay, me too. Super shy as a kid. And one of the things that I found that was really helpful for me was when I started doing voice acting, I was like, God, no one's going to look at me. And I can be as big or as weird or whatever. And I always loved voices because I was pretty introverted and shy. So that was just, I fell in love. Like I fell in love with voices, with, the magic of it. And then I was doing voices for more grown-up things, like commercials for banks and Amazon and things like that. And my agent goes, yeah, I live in the Seattle area, which is where Nintendo is based. And she goes, I have an audition for you. And I did it. They go, can you do this voice? Yay! Can you do this voice? Yeah! And then I was like, okay, you have the job. And then afterwards I'm like, I have the job? I'm Toad? Like, I mean, oh my gosh, it was crazy because I hadn't played the games a lot. Then I started playing them and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. So, yeah, 2007, 2005, around then. So crazy.
Oh yeah, for me, I've never been able to figure out when my first session was, but, well, the game Super Mario Strikers was my first title. It released in November of 2005, but because it takes them so long to put everything together, I think I may have recorded in 2004, not sure. But my story is a little bit longer. I have the story of I was in the right place at the right time.
I love that.
I used to work for a propane company, and I used to sell propane and propane accessories. I'll tell you what. Dang it, Bobby. But no, I really did. I was a propane service tech for 13 years. And during that time period, I had decided to start acting. I didn't start acting until I was 40. Both theater and voice acting. And I went and took a class at the University of Washington. I used to live in the Seattle area. I live in Denton now, so I'm one of you guys. So, but I had taken a class, and the instructor of the class also produced demos, so I had him produce a demo for me, and if that hadn't happened, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. Maybe, maybe not. But at this job that I was doing, this client, customer, whatever you want to call her, she heard me talking to my service manager about doing these lines for this guy in Canada who's paying me like $8 or $9 a line to do answering machine things. A lot of you don't know what an answering machine is. But, you know, I was, you know, doing Scooby and Shaggy and stuff. So it's like, hey, Scoob, answer the phone, man. You know, it's like, you know, you know, whatever accents, whatever he asked for, I would just do it. I was like, hey, I'm a professional voice actor. I'm getting paid. Well, this customer lady, turns out she was a part-time producer at the studio that Nintendo used in Seattle, Bad Animals. And she goes, you do voice work? And I go, I'm trying. Second thing she said was, do you have a demo? And I went, I do? You know, or, you know. So, I gave her the web address. I had built a website using Coffee Cup 9 that I pirated on Napster. So, FBI. Yeah,
They already know about it. They said, all right, we'll let it pass.
So anyway, she listened to it. She had her 14-year-old son listen to it. They went, seems okay. She sent it over to the studio. They started sending me auditions. And when they recast Bowser after Sunshine, I got an audition request, and I did my audition, and I guess I nailed it. So,
Come on.
but it was Scott Burns. The audition was the lines from Sunshine, and they actually sent me his raw tracks. So I assumed that they wanted a voice match.
Okay.
They didn't specify.
Yeah.
So I did my best Scott Burns. I was, Mario, how dare you disrupt my family vacation?
Yeah.
Nailed it. And then I go into the studio for the first time, and they go, yeah, you're not going to be talking. And I was all like, wah, wah. So I instantly evolved the character from sounding, no offense, Jack Blackish, or, you know, Scott Burns-ish, and I rolled him into a, you know, because all they wanted me to do was speak Bowserese.
Right, yeah.
So, that's real boring. I say, I know Mario. Bruno Peach. Like that. Long answer, there you go.
I love it. Literally, like, happenstance, the one domino knocking down the next thing the next day. Now, you said that they had sent you, so, like, exactly, they sent you, like, the clips and everything, so you clearly knew what you were auditioning for. Was it like that for you, too? Yet, see, I know sometimes, especially with these, like, with Japanese companies, they can be very, very private. How did they describe to you what you were auditioning for to get these voices out of you?
They did play a reference for me from Jen Taylor. So
Okay.
she had done those both Toad and Peach before, so I was following a reference. But they are very top secret about all the games. Like, they will have a code name. We won't know what it is. A lot of times we won't know the plot until we get in the door and they go, okay, here's the concept. And we're, you know, under penalty of death not to speak of it, you know, and so we're very, you know, we sign things, and they're fantastic. Like, it's every time it's pretty magical to us because we're finding out about it right when we're there. And as an actor, I mean, I don't know, how many of you guys think you want to try voice acting, or you've tried some acting? Okay, so yeah, it's just like being able to improv and go, you know what, I'm going to try this on my head and my heart and see what we can bring to this with just right in this moment.
What did they tell you as far as, like, the cores of your characters? Did they give you any traits, anything that were like, we really want Bowser to be boom, boom, boom. We want Peach to be bang, bang, bang. Like, what were those things that they told you?
I had nothing.
Really? Wow.
No, they pretty much just let me go.
That's great. Okay.
Super Mario Strikers was the first title that I recorded, and I had no idea. Well, first of all, I had no idea what the game was. For example, I think Odyssey was Tulip or Red Tulip or something like that. They had code names even for the game title. And they just put me in the booth and turned me loose.
Yeah.
So I was able to kind of develop Bowser as I went along.
Beautiful.
And what's his name? Now I feel bad. Bieldorf. That's Nate Bieldorf. Yeah, he was my first director, and he was just, And I went, I can speak English, and he's like, "Hey, you're not going to be talking." So.
I think Nintendo has some really good directors, and they are able to coach us. And a lot of times it'll be, like what Kenny's saying is these characters have evolved over time, but also in a given game or with a given line, they'll go, look, let's imagine that, but imagine that even though she's happy, she's also like super nervous. And it's almost like they'll give you coaching. Wonder was an amazing game to be coached through because they had so many of these really interesting power-ups and things happening. It's like, okay, you're gonna become an elephant. Oh, what was I gonna be like? And I remember there was one of the directors was coaching me and she was like, you know what? Like imagine that instead of blowing up a balloon, you have a balloon but it's full of air, it's in your mouth, and as you're about to say something, all the air comes back into your mouth. So think about that and how you're gonna make a sound. It would be like, like you can imagine. So these guys are geniuses at helping to pull out of it, what they want, and they're very specific. They know what they want and they coach it.
Because with all of these, the video game thing in general, right? I know that you said you do a lot of anime, but it's like the reacts, right? All of these reacts for video games and all the power-ups and all the blah, blah, blah. Dude, I can only read so many, right? But I'm like, what does that even mean? Did you ever run into, did they coach you through, like, did they end up sounding the same? Did you ever read one that you were like, what in the world does that mean? And do you remember it?
All the time. And I started laughing because reacts, which is reactions, in anime, it's my nemesis.
Yes, me too. Oh my gosh.
I'm like, it's like CT awe or something, and you're like, okay, that's clenched teeth. And then, you want me to make what noise? What? But, it's like you do one or two takes and it's all good. But, yeah, I really don't like reactions. I don't like doing reactions. I like speaking.
Understandable. Yeah. Did you ever run into ones that you were like, truly, like, what is...
Always. You're wondering, because how do you write a sound? You just write consonants and you're like, what? But I think it's that's where the teamwork comes in, because you're gonna have a director, you're gonna have writers, you're gonna have a bunch of people, 6 people sitting there, and they're gonna give you feedback, and so it helps.
And sometimes Japan.
Yeah, and Japan too. Sometimes they'll be in Skype or whatever, or Zoom or whatever. And so I think it's also like being bold enough to try something, and I think that's the hardest part for me is, I'm a little more reserved, and so it's like, oh, I'm gonna just try to make this sound, but I feel really inhibited. I don't know how this is gonna be, and to just give yourself permission to go, I'm gonna try something. I'm just gonna try it, and then they'll tap it into shape, or they'll tell us how to do it differently, and to trust them. You trust your team. You're like. And we bounced back and forth, and before long, some of the cutest things were between Nate and just like coaching back and forth and going, okay, that's adorable. I mean, with Wonder, I think he came up with the phrase, wowie zowie. That wasn't written, but it was like, how adorable is that? Wowie zowie, zowie, it's adorable.
And I think Nate was Shy Guy, wasn't he?
Was he?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
Yeah, so he had this little bit of voice acting for Nintendo as well. And it's a strange thing to go into a studio and do what Sammy's saying, and they want something, and you go, I don't know exactly what you want, but I'm going to try something. Recently, I did a few episodes of To Be Hero X.
Oh! It's good! It's good, Kenny. It's very good. You guys go watch that anyway. It's very good.
You know who the angry Big Johnny is?
Yeah!
It's me.
Yeah, David Ward.
I know. But, however, another monster. Go figure. But as far as on the topic, making sounds, I was actually cupping my hands.
Sure enough.
For that. I was like, I don't want to sound like, didn't want to step on any Nintendos. So, I made that up.
That's really good. We'll write that one down.
I've been using it for a few years, thank you. But I wanted him to sound different, but even though he's huge, he's this huge canine thing he's got black skin and neon green markings. He's really cool. A lot of teeth. So I cupped my hands. You in the studio, cupping your hands, and the director had no problem with it. And I was all like, cool, do you like the way that sounds? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, cool. And there was one part where it was part Tigger. There was this character that was calming him down, and the Tigger growl, is like a wow, but I was going more like and I watched that episode and I went, oh, that sounded cool.
That's great.
So again, long answer, short question.
I love that. Because it is, we listen to these games and like, I know I'm sitting on the other side of the screen, I'm watching the shows and playing the games, I'm like, how did they even think of coming up with that? But I love what you said, yeah, it's partially your wonder, your imagination, you're shooting for what they think they want, and then them coaching you along. That makes perfect sense. Please go ahead.
Well, it's interesting too, because sometimes we don't know how cool it's going to turn out in the moment we're trusting them. They're like, that's perfect. And you're thinking, no, it wasn't. That wasn't perfect. And then later you play the game and you're like, that was perfect.
Yes.
It was good. And so there's that trust that your team is going to tell you, oh, yeah, that was it.
Right, because you don't have the full scope of like what we see, right?
Yeah.
Like we're seeing the whole story and the whole game put together, and you trust your team to be like, I hope this is all going to come together.
And sometimes they use an ad-lib.
Okay, sure.
Mario Kart Wii. They wanted celebratory winning the race things. And I ran out of steam. Because I just kept going and kept going and kept going. And after a while, you're like, that all sounds the same. But then I went, it's in the game.
Yes.
And I didn't know until I was playing it one time. I had my little plastic Wii steering wheel thing, and I win this race as Bowser, and he went, and I went, I was just goofing around, But sometimes you never know. I agree with Sammy about the directors and the producers at Nintendo. They're very good at what they do.
Wonderful.
Especially with me, because I'm just making a bunch of noises,
Right.
basically.
Yeah.
But they want specific noises.
To elicit something.
Yeah, and I remember in Odyssey, they wanted some emotion out of Bowser, and I was all like, are you kidding me? And they're like, oh no, yeah, you're fixing to throw this hat, but you're sort of sad and angry at the same time, and I had to come up with that. So, anyway, I don't even know if that was part of the question.
No, but it is you mentioned it earlier.
I just like talking about myself.
You're talking about a lot of people hear you talk about this because your job is awesome. So of course it sounds cool, but what you're talking about is the ever so important part of voice acting. The second word, acting, which everyone forgets. Like you have to be able to come up with this stuff on the spot. It's just so important. But everything, through your journey with Nintendo, through these characters, what was the moment that you realized the scope of what you were doing? Because it's one thing to just be in a booth recording with some suits, and then you come to stuff like this and you realize like how many people are affected by what you do. Was there a moment in time that you kind of just, whoa?
Affected or infected?
Literally.
I don't know. I think for me it was when I started doing conventions.
Okay.
That's when I realized how big this actually was. Because I had to keep working my jobby job for years after I got this part. We don't get residuals. So when I started, I went to my first convention and I was like, whoa, people really like me. They like me. You know? So, hey, that's what it was for me. I knew the character was big, but I'm laying on somebody's carpet in their living room fixing their gas fireplace, and who's that? And I look over and I go, "Oh, you guys have a Wii? Yeah, that's cool. You know, I'm Bowser." And they're like, "No,
Yeah,
you're
okay.
not." And I'm like, "No, I am. You know, I can sign the jewel case. If you want." They don't believe you. You know, I'm a gas service tech. You know.
Like for me, it's when you hear stories, because I think that like stories connect with your heart, and so when we're here and we get to talk with friends and we realize, wow, you know, these are games that have, for some people, they've grown up with it, and so how many times did they hear these voices and then it's a part of their life, and there's just nothing better. And like people who go, you know, I played this with my dad, and then I lost my dad, and so every time I play, I think of my dad, or you know, just stories of I was really sick and I didn't know, you know, I could get through chemo, but then when I saved you in Odyssey, I knew that I could do anything. You know, things like that where you go, these aren't just like a game. It's a life that you get to live with a bunch of people that you've never met, unless we get to come here and meet you, and then we love your stories and we treasure them, like we keep them. So when you share them, it really matters a lot to us.
Yeah, the full scope of the work that you do. Yeah,
And it keeps getting passed on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Last weekend, I think it was, this little bitty character that I was like, he doesn't play yet. And they go, no, but he thinks he plays.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He holds a controller and he thinks he's playing. And they just let him sit there and, you know,
That's
do
how
his
I
thing.
play
He's
too.
like, I'm doing good. You know, yeah, I'm doing good, you know. And
It is a rare thing. We talked about this in one other, it was at one of our Pixar panels this weekend, of being the multi-generational things are kind of few and far between. But the fact that I could be at a family gathering, I could turn a Wii on and be like, who wants to play? And I'm gonna have like my dad, me, my little cousin. It truly does span in a way that not a lot of stuff does. So those stories, and those games, and those things we can do together, it makes it that much more special, I think. My last question before we go on to their fantastic questions, because before I moved to Dallas, I lived in Orlando. I'm a theme park kid through and through, and I always will be. So when the Nintendo World started coming to the US, we got it in California, now we've got it in Orlando, I was so stoked. Because I was like, I get to be inside of the game. Like I get to live it. And I'm gonna eat this food that has a bunch of Red 40 in it because I love the theming. And I'm just such a sucker for it. But these characters are popping up everywhere. If you had full control and you could say, here's what's next for my character, here's what I want to see them do, whether it's a different theme park, a musical, what would you love to do with your characters?
well, I would like something that fits with the fandom, where they're like, how come there's never been just a Bowser-based game?
Yes.
The closest thing probably was Bowser's Inside Story,
Sure.
and that was a very popular game. It was It was great. But, yeah, it would be cool if they could do something storyline centered on me.
Yeah.
Would you guys like that? Would you like a Bowser game?
Yes.
Yeah. For me, I got to have my dream come true. I mean, to get to do Showtime was so special for me.
We're not talking about showtimes.
I know. He really wants his own Showtime.
Bowser said showtime.
He feels like they hijacked that.
And
Naturally such.
her
Yeah.
character hijacked my catchphrase.
But you did get the game, and it was what?
It was so fun. That game was really beautiful because I felt like it's time for Peach to express all the parts of her personality, and she's such a role model for young women that it's like, yes, you can be a princess in ice skate, and you can also just really beat up bad guys. Like you can totally take on your own deal, and you don't have to be rescued. You know, you can rescue, and you can be the one. And that's why I love that.
Yes.
She worked super hard on that.
Yes.
I worked hard on it.
Because it's such a big
It
deal.
was so special. I would come in every day and they'd show me a new transformation, and I was in awe because each time I was like, "There's more. There's another one." And so what a delight. Yeah, it took us about 2 months to record all of that, and it was fabulous. It was so fun. So that was my dream come true.
I'm sure, everybody out here agrees with me. Like, I played these games growing up or whatever. I never thought that was going to happen for Peach. Because I was just kind of used to being like, especially when I was a young kid, I wanted to be an actor, and I was like, oh, the females are always the side character. I hope I get to be a side character in something. That's the biggest thing I could ever dream of. And then she got her own game, and she was still everything that Peach was. It was huge.
And I will tell you about the ending of that game too, because we saved a lot of the really high energy sounds for the very end, because sometimes it can blow out your voice. It also takes a lot of lung capacity and effort and stuff. So the end of this thing, and I don't know, I won't spoil it if you haven't done it, but there was this big victory that was supposed to happen, and they were like, okay, this is going to be hard. It's going to be, I think it has to be about 10 seconds long, but it's going to be this exertion, this power sound that Peach makes, and the very final victory that she has, and can you do it? And I sat there for a second, and I was thinking about all the things in the world that make me really angry right now. No, that if I could go and just kill them, I would just do it. Like I would put my yes. I thought of all those things, and then it just came up from the depth, and I just did it. And they're like, okay,
Yes.
okay. It was like that, but it was so meaningful to me, just going, what bad guy do I want to take? How do I want to do this, and just pull it up and do it. It was a delight. So,
And that red, yeah. I love it.
And then when you hear moving on, you're like, yay.
Yeah.
They give you the thumbs up. Yeah. Because there's nothing worse than you put your whole self into something and then well, let's just try, why don't we try it different?
That was a good first take.
Okay.
Yeah.
You remember I was on Pins and Needles about Meowser.
Yeah.
Meowser was so difficult, and I went in for a follow-up session, and I went, what about the Meowser stuff? And the director goes, we're translating an email from Japan right now. And I was like, oh boy. 10 minutes later, they're like, all right, they're all good with that. Let's keep moving along. And I was like, because I did not know what I was going to do if I had to do it again.
Yeah.
So, because I did. I pushed it as far as I could push it. I could taste blood when I finished that session. So I tore my throat up just a bit.
Yeah.
Just way to go, bitch.
Just a little bit, about that much.
Ooh.
3 days later, I was singing though, on stage. Evita.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm glad. I hope you had a very small break in between that. Actually, you were down from the count for a couple of days.
It was 2 or 3 days.
Jeez Louise, man, that is crazy. I do also need, I want to put this out in the universe, I think you will agree, another thing I need to see from this franchise. I love escape rooms, I'll always have an escape room. And I need like a Bowser Castle theme escape room. Wouldn't that be so cool?
That'd be great,
Yeah. Please start tweeting with that, guys. I need it. Exactly! Like if he gets angrier as you get closer to like escaping.
It would be so much fun.
I need that. We are going to go into our questions from our audience. We have, if you're here, make some noise. If not, pretend that you are them. I'm fine with that too. Lie. I don't know. Yeah. We're going to start with one for Samantha. I like this one. This is from Michael from Houston, Texas.
Hello.
Michael asks, voicing both princess and mushroom humanoid requires very different approaches. How do you mentally switch between Princess Peach and Toad, and which character feels more natural to you, which is more challenging?
Okay. Peach to me is more like my regular speaking voice. It's just a bit higher. And then her persona is, she's under control. She's very controlled. She's also delightful, and she's also fierce. And so I have all of those things in my mind. And so the voice is like, it's higher, it's up here. And then Toad is, Toad is crazy. Toad's out there, you know, and so he's just more out. Do you want me to not do it? He dislikes it when I do the Toad sound.
But it
Anyone
is-
want to hear the Toad sound?
Yes.
So it's like, Toad is just like fun. So I love them both, but they're both just so, you know, like part of yourself. You got your part who's like, now I'm going to be buttoned up and ready to go, and now I'm going to just literally have me. Yeah, I love them both. I love them both so
Amazing.
much.
It's not like I dislike it, it's just grating.
Bothers him,
weird
and I love
sounding.
that.
Yeah, it is so, I could never get sick of the Toad voice. I love it so much. I love it. This next one is going to be for you, Kenny. It's from Dimitri from Dallas. This one is, Bowser has evolved, oh, we kind of touched on this, so this is great. Bowser has evolved from a simple villain to a more complex character, especially in games like Super Mario Galaxy, Bowser's Inside Story. How has your approach to voicing him changed?
It's kind of the same thing that I was talking about earlier. I was almost forced to change from going from a speaking character to somebody who had to emote everything through noise. And Galaxy, I'm glad that was mentioned because it's still one of my favorites. One of my earliest and one of my favorites. But the whole thing about going from the speaking, you know, Bowser talking, blah, 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 you know, to not being able to talk. It sort of forced me into coming up with something different. And that's where the came from, and I don't know how I do that. People ask me that a lot. They're like, how do you make your voice do that? And I don't know. I have no clue. I'm just glad I'm able to do it, you know. I think that's sort of an answer.
Absolutely.
I don't answer questions good.
You do just fine.
I digress.
These ones are for both of you. This one is from Wanda from Dallas. Wanda asks, the Super Mario franchise spans generations and cultures worldwide. What do you think makes these characters so universally beloved? Universally that's the word, yeah. I could wear a Bowser shirt anywhere and people would be like, ah, Bowser.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, well, at least with Bowser, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he doesn't really speak. When he does speak, it's Bowserese, and then there's a speech bubble, and they put it whatever language it needs to be in. I've had 5 jillion, I don't know how you're going to say jillion. I've had so many times, I know, I was looking at that, yeah. I was like, I've had so many times where people have asked me about, have you met the Japanese Bowser? And I'm like, there is no Japanese Bowser. You're looking at him. I am global Bowser. So, and I think that has a lot to do with it. The fact that the characters are, their speech is acceptable pretty much throughout the planet.
Sure.
I mean, English is a second language for almost every country. So, I'm sorry, I went on.
No,
Did you want to answer, dear?
I enjoyed it too. I agree with you. And I think it's also just the accessibility of these characters. So not only with the speech, but also they are, you know, we don't relate to them, and they're comfortable all own them. Like when you race Mario Kart, you're like, today I feel like this, I'm gonna race this, or maybe you have your go-to. But there's this joy of going, we can all own these characters and be a part of these characters and identify with them. And I think there's a sweetness too that you can do it at all ages. They're family friendly. So you can have 3-year-olds pretending to race, and you can grow up through it. And there's a delight to that and an innocence that I think we're hungry for that now.
Yes.
I like her answer better.
It's a good one. She's so good at it. Oh, she's good at it. You actually talked about this earlier, and I know some people raise their hands out there. So we're going to go with Xavier's question from Austin. Xavier asks, what advice would you give to aspiring voice actors who want to work in video games, and how do you maintain your distinctive character voices over long recording sessions?
Luckily for me, I don't have long recording sessions.
Love that.
Nintendo is very kind about it. They don't want to record me more than 2 hours a day. Right now, my voice doesn't sound normal to me already, and that's just from 2 days of growling at the table. But the thing about becoming a voice actor, I usually always preface it with, if you want to be a voice actor, first be an actor. I profess theater a lot. Community theater doesn't really cost you much, and maybe nothing to do. And you learn to develop your character, and you learn to take direction, because you're going to have to do all that in a booth. There's too many people out there that are aspiring that they think that, standing in a booth reading something is easy. And it's really not that easy. It's daunting, kind of scary. Another thing I tell people is to read out loud. A lot. If you want to do this, you need to be able to read out loud and make it sound like you're not reading out loud, if that makes any sense. Because there's a big difference, between going, I are reading this book, and going, yeah, I'm reading this book. I've done audiobooks and I hated it, but that doesn't mean you have to hate it. Yeah. But yeah, learn to act, and it doesn't necessarily mean you have to spend a bunch of money getting lessons and stuff, even though there's nothing wrong with that. I took classes, but just don't think that you can just walk into the booth and it's going to be easy peasy. Try to go through the steps. I'm not saying it's difficult. It might be scary, but not difficult. I had a lot of stage time in rock bands and stuff, and so I was exposed to people looking at me a lot. And then when I started acting, it wasn't until I was 40 years old, and first show I auditioned for, I got a pretty meaty part. So I was like, okay, I think I'm pretty good at this. And then turns out it's like, yeah, that worked out. But I'm rambling. Stop me when I do this. Why haven't you hit me?
I'm fascinated. No, I agree with what Kenny's saying. I mean, and I love what you're talking about. No, I hate you. The idea of reading it and meaning it, like with your full self.
Yes.
A lot of times what we'll do is bounce our eyes, and so if you're in a session, you're gonna never have seen that script before. So you have to be able, and you can practice at home with this, is you just read ahead with your eyes, but your brain is back here, and then you're meaning it with your whole self. And if you can say it and mean it with your whole self, anyone who receives that it's irresistible to them. Like, you're so attractive if you can mean it 100%. And that's a heart thing, it's a brain thing, it's a wonderful exercise. And it's not just for acting, it's for anything you do in your life. Like if you fully can bring your whole self to it and just mean it with what you got, the world will open up for you.
See, she always brings the human part into it.
But exactly what you're saying, the concept of meaning it, but it's like that human nature, that genuine, is why we love these stories. Because even though we're not in the booth with you, we can feel it, like we receive it on the other end, which is easier said than done. Because like it's acting, it's performing. I was like, and the performance of it is make sure you can feel it genuinely and live it truthfully. So I love it, and you're both doing, I don't know if you know this, you're both doing a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, oh my gosh, you're so welcome.
We love
Go.
you.
Yeah. Go. My friends, can we please give it up for our two incredible guests?
Thank you guys, we love you. Oh, if you want to come by the table too,
Right.
we have one more hour?
What,
One
yes,
more hour
we're
for
here
time?
till, yeah, we're here till 5. Are you here till the end?
I'm gonna stay to the end.
I'm parked here. I live in Denton, so.
She's gonna drive back. She's staying to the end too. If you haven't gotten a chance to come by the table and say hi, come by, say hi. And if you buy anything, like we'll just throw in a selfie for free. So we just want to see you guys.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Oh, go head over there. It's right next door, gang. Thank you both
Thank
so
you so
much. That was
much.
awesome. I appreciate you.
You're amazing.
Let me
Isn't
get
she
a-
amazing?
Give us a big bluey.
Hooray! Woo! Nice!
Thanks, team. We'll see you. We got one more left.